Hello, I'm Corey of Coriander Quilts, and I'm here to talk to you today about Apricot and Ash. I don't know how much your sales reps are going to be able to get to visit you, so I am going to try to do my very best to be as good as your sales reps are, because I know that we have some awesome Moda sales reps. So here we go. Apricot and Ash is my new collection, and it is a more limited color palette than what you have seen with my last few lines. Some of you may have Canning Day in your store right now, and that's a really colorful line. It's got kind of the whole rainbow of colors. Apricot and Ash has the corals and the apricots and grays. You guys know I like my grays in my line, so it's got the grays in it. Now, if we're looking down through the prints, I started with a large scale rose print, and that is going to work beautifully for backings or borders on quilts. I tend to, when I'm designing my fabric line, start with that large scale print and then work the collection around there. So you'll see that print. I love it in the white background, and I think it's especially pretty over here in the gray background as well. And of course that apricot color is so pretty there. And then you're going to find just coordinating smaller scale prints, lots of flowers in this line. This is one of my favorite prints right here. And again, I really like that print over here in the gray. I always think that the sunny colors that I like working with work really well for contrast against the white backgrounds, but then they work really well against the gray backgrounds. So I always really like both those colorways. And you know I like a nice warm coral color in my collections as well. There is a nice white on white tonal in this collection. This is a little gingham print, so that's going to be a lot of fun to use on your backgrounds for your projects. And I always like including some different low volume options if you wanted just a little bit of print for your background that you can use. So I have this little, I think I called it a Dottie Plus is the actual name of the print, and I have that in a coral, coral on white, and then you're going to see it in gray on the white as well, and then it's in the green color also. So a lot of versatility in this collection. You're going to find that you can kind of mix and match the prints from previous collections. I know most of you probably don't have any more pepper and flax in your stores anymore, but if you happen to have any of those, I think those two collections are going to work well. It's also going to mix really beautifully with Sugar Creek, which would have come out just this past fall. So if you still have some Sugar Creek hanging out, it's going to work really well with that collection to mix and match back and forth. So I'm going to next talk about the panel for this collection, because kind of the whole thing comes together around the panel. When I started designing these prints and I knew I wanted to include a panel, you guys might remember the Sunny Side Up panel that I included, and that just was so much fun to have those extra blocks to be able to incorporate into your projects. So I knew that I wanted to do a panel, and I had an idea to do something that would be kind of reminiscent of a Rose of Sharon quilt or a Baltimore album sort of design. And so I designed blocks that can be cut apart. I'm going to hold this panel up here for you real quick, and then I'll talk about it a little bit. But blocks that you could cut apart, or you could use as a whole cloth quilt if you wanted to. So here is half of it. I'm going to flip it around so that you guys can see the other side also. And if you want to see this better than what you can see for me just sort of holding it up here for you, it's in your Moda piece catalog that you guys would have just gotten. You can see it on page 14, the whole thing, and it's wider yardage, and this is traditionally printed, so it comes on the bolt, and one repeat is 1 yard, and you get 24 different blocks within that 1 yard. The nice thing about this is when I was designing it, I wanted to be able to run this so you really could do a whole cloth quilt with it. So you can, if you cut 2 yards of it, that's going to give you a whole cloth quilt that would be 60 by 72, which would be a really nice size, especially if you wanted just to add borders to that. You're going to end up with a really nice size quilt. So it comes in the dark gray that you saw here, and it's also available on the white background. And this is just 1/2 of the full panel. So just 1/2 of the repeat there. So these blocks are going to work awesome. I have projects that I've designed, quilts that I've designed to use the panel, but they're going to work really nice in pillow projects or project bags or purses or aprons, anything that you can think of. The blocks cut really nicely down, And I've been using my Quilter Select 8.5 inch square ruler. This is a really nice product that you could cross market with the panel, because this is the perfect size to cut those squares down into. So that's what I've been using, but you can imagine, like, it's 8.5 cut, so 8 inches finished within your project. You can see how many different things you would be able to make using those panels. So I think the next thing that I want to do is move on to some of the projects, the quilt projects that I have designed to work with Apricot and Ash. And again, I'm going to be showing you just little pieces. I have not even all of my quilt tops, but I have some of my quilt tops piece that I'm going to be showing you parts of. But if you guys want to see the full picture of what these quilts look like, the whole thing, just take a look at your Moda catalog, because they're going to have the whole thing laid out so you can see the quilt in its entirety. I'm not going to be able to hold them up for you guys. I'm kind of not tall enough, and the projects, some of them are kind of big, so I'm going to just talk about bits of them, and then you can take a look in your catalog to see exactly what those look like in full. So the first one that I'm sharing with you is the Moda kit project for this collection. This is Friendly Neighbor, and it has these nice big house blocks, and then it uses the panel just as part of the quilt block. These blocks are big. They finish at 18 inches, so you know they come together pretty quickly. I've shared little bits and pieces of this on social media so far, and people, as soon as they see this, they think, oh my goodness, that's beautiful, but I could never do all of that applique. But obviously we know it's a panel, so it's not applique, and you can do it, and it's really easy to do. So that is going to be a fun one. Like I said, that is the Moda kit project for this collection, and it's Friendly Neighbor, and it's a fat quarter quilt. So if you wanted to kit that up on your own, that'd be a really easy one to do also. I'm going to flip this over. The next one I'm just going to be sharing some blocks from, because I don't have this one done yet. But this one is the, I'm going to forget the name of it. Let me look down here just a second. Woodland Frolic. This is the Woodland Frolic quilt. And these, I'm going to hold these up too. This is a smaller quilt, and it has just 4 of these big blocks. These are 24-inch blocks. This is the owl block. And I have the hedgehog block done too. And these are a lot of fun in this collection. It has such a fallish autumn vibe. So the quilt has a hedgehog, an owl, a squirrel, and a fox. And again, you can see those in the Moda catalog. But that's the hedgehog. Those are the only 2 that I have done. I need to do the other ones. I asked my daughters as I was making them, they're picking which order I make them in. So my youngest daughter picked hedgehog, and then my oldest daughter picked owl. So those are the first 2 I have done. This next quilt project, this one is called Easy Peasy, and it is a log cabin. And I'm going to step back here a little bit, and I'm going to hold that up for you guys too, so you can see that a little bit better. This one is actually a free project that I did for you guys. Let's get this going the right way. So I don't know how well you guys can see that, but again, just take a peek at your Moda catalog and you can see that much better. But this one, like I said, is a free project that I designed for you guys. Any shop that orders Apricot and Ash, it's going to receive the pattern in with their fabric shipment when it ships out. And I'm also going to put it up on my website, CORIANDERQUILTS.com. So if you wanted to, you could either run copies off of the pattern when you receive it in your shipment, or you can direct your customers to my website to print off copies of their own, whatever works for you guys. But I wanted to make sure that you had easy access to the pattern. It's yardage based, so it uses yardage of a couple different prints, and then it uses one of the white panels, so a 1 yard cut of the white and then a 1 yard cut of the gray. It's going to be another one that's really easy to kit. You guys will have access to that pattern as you need it to do with as you want. And if you have any questions about anything that I'm sharing, your Moda sales reps are happy to answer questions for you. You are also welcome to send me an email at any time if you have any questions. CORIANDERQUILTS@gmail.com will come right to me. This next quilt is my marketplace quilt. Again, this is a fat quarter quilt. These are nice big blocks too. Hold this up for you guys a little bit. The checkerboard piecing on the center of those blocks is strip pieced, so those come together pretty quickly. The last quilt that I have is called Patched, and it's a simple one, but I don't have that one pieced yet. I tend to start with the quilts that I know are going to take me the longest to piece. And then by the time I get to the last ones, I know that I just have quick to piece ones to go. So that one is the last one, aside from the little woodland animals, that I still need to piece. That log cabin one though, I wanted to do that one up really quickly so I could show that to you guys. So I quickly made that yesterday, and that one is a fast one. It's probably the fastest one of all my new patterns. So that one is fast, but I tucked it in there before I finished some of these so that I could share that with you today. Let me see. I think the last thing that I want to share with you is the matching Bella Solids. That is probably one of the questions I get asked more frequently than other questions, is what Bella Solids match your collections and where can I purchase them? So I always tell people to check with their local quilt shops, and I know for you guys it's nice to know ahead of time what Bella Solids match so that you can prepare to have those in store if you wanted to. So I have the stack of Bellas that match over here. This is also going to be nice for you guys if you don't get a chance to see your sales reps before you need to order, that you're going to have a little bit of a better idea exactly what the colors are within the collection, because I know sometimes your monitors are going to look a little bit different, and that way you know what colors we are talking about. So the gray, this is etching slate. I use this gray a lot. It is number 170. This green is another one I use a lot in my collections, number 100, it's light lime. This one I don't have on the bolt yet. I'm gonna need to get a hold of it on the bolt, but it is pale pink, and its number is 26. So 26 on the pale pink. This one is 88, the color name is Bubblegum. And then we also have Coral. I've used this one a lot too, it's one of my favorites, and Coral is number 147. So those are the Bella Solids that will match the collection, and like I said, that's going to help you know better what the colors are. If you have the solids in store, or if you have one of the Moda Bella Solid color cards, you're going to know, get a better idea for what the colors are within the collection. So I think that's all I wanted to share with you guys today. I'm really excited about this collection. It ships to shops in August. So it's going to be perfect for as people are, you know, sort of getting their kids back to school. They're going to be looking for more projects. I think the summer months might be a little bit slower for sewing. I know it is for me. But then once the kids get back off to school, people are looking for projects to keep busy. This collection works really well for fall, especially with those warm grays and then corals. It just works well for fall. So I think it's going to be a great collection to kind of bring in the next season. So I hope you guys liked this little peek into Apricot and Ash. I hope we get back to normal soon with your sales reps being able to visit you as they normally would. But until then, I hope you guys have enjoyed this little peek into my collection.